Roguelikes are some of the most consistent games in terms of quality with games, such as Spelunky, Binding of Isaac, Faster Than Light being classic standouts. Add in the more recent games like Darkest Dungeon, Dead Cells and Risk of Rain 2, roguelikes have seen a resurgence of sorts, and the most recent one, Hades, may just be the best of the bunch. Hades, which entered early access in 2018 and recently launched its 1.0 version after almost 2 years of additional development, is probably my biggest surprise purchase of 2020. I did not expect to love this game as much as I do. Hades tells the story of Zagreus and his endless journey to make it out of hell, the domain ruled by his father, titular Hades, to reach the surface to answer the questions he is seeking. As Zagreus, you try to slash, shield bash, spear, bow, punch and gun your way out of hell, but no matter how many demonic shades fall, you always end back up where you started. Along the way, doing runs and also back home at your base of sorts, you'll converse with legendary mythological figures, all of whom are voiced and full of personality in thoughtful ways. Rather than tell a linear story, Hades is dished out through all morsels of conversation that fit the context of a world in which death is an inevitable inconvenience. There are dozens of subjects for the residents of the palace, each fantastically written and voice acted. Whether it's flirting with the god of death, or helping reunite lost lovers, there's always something to progress, even if you're not making it any closer to escaping. And that does more than just encourage another run. It makes the game about fighting pessimism, expanding it beyond just Zagreus' tenacity and his doomed escape plan to encompass all his friends' woes too. Supergiant takes all the tragedies of its source material and introduces a forgotten character who just might be able to help set them right again. This allows for you to become attached to these characters in the hours in which their stories evolve. Now what makes Hades so addicting to play is that no two runs are exactly the same. You'll explore familiar areas each time, but the order is always varied. After finishing one area, the player is given a choice between 1 to 3 areas to head into. You're only informed of the reward they hold, which keeps the basic gameplay loop feeling fresh while remaining challenging. While the procedurally generated sections are standout in roguelikes, Hades gives the reins back to the player. As you progress, you unlock special abilities that significantly increase the chance to encounter specific upgrades in each run, increasing the chance to establish your own personal build. There are no levels in Hades, but you can alter your own stats. The chance that you'll find your exact desires is random, but your ability to control that chance makes it compelling. Now the main way of making Zagreus more powerful are in the form of boons from your family members up on Mount Olympus. These boons are frequently doled out as a reward for clearing rooms, and they are a chance to hear a message from one of the gods of Olympus, each of whom has a gameplay specific area of expertise. Athena can help you deflect projectiles back at their source, Zeus has lightning chains, and Chaos will offer a powerful perk in exchange for a harsh temporary debuff. Boons are used to create and modify your build on the fly for the duration of your current run, and they're easily my favourite part of Hades. Each boon can branch off into a few different initial directions, and those directions can further mix and match and be upgraded as your run progresses. Now I can't oversell how satisfying these abilities become. There's rarely a clear-cut best choice, everything has potential. Can't say the same for most other action-leaning roguelike games. Going one step further, every weapon from the Eternal Spear to the Adamant Rail to the Shield of Chaos has these hidden aspects that you can permanently unlock to specialise your playstyle. I personally really enjoy the Heart-Seeking Bow and its ability to tag a target with my main arrow and then fire off a spread of homing shots from a safe distance. Now this is not to say that once you beat Hades you're finished, oh no, the game has a counter for that, in the form of the Pact of Punishment, in which you can select ways in which to turn up the heat after each victory of the weapons available. This allows for you to fine tune your experience and keep the runs feeling fresh. Also, to witness the game's true ending, you need to beat the game 10 times in total. For those of us who adore a good grind, this one delivers in spades. Supergiant gives ample opportunities to accumulate meta currencies during dungeon runs. You can even trade them to get precisely what you need back home. I was able to easily prioritise and work towards specific unlocks I wanted. Now, if anything did disappoint me in Hades, I probably point to the unevenness in the latter two zones, Elysium and the Temple of Styx. These sometimes feel like I'm going through the motions almost, and an arguably missed opportunity for the larger boss roster. Supergiant designed several genuinely memorable and highly replayable boss fights, but it leaned a bit too heavily on variance in these sections. Now, at the same time, those criticisms only stand out to me mostly because everything else in Hades is so excellent. If you enjoyed this studio's other games such as Pyre and Transistor, for what it's worth I think Hades is the best of the bunch. Hades had the unenviable task of bridging a well-established action roguelike format with impactful character-driven storytelling, and neither of these elements feel like an afterthought. They lift each other to new heights. The fine details or those little artistic touches that add up over time really seal the deal. Hades is a fantastic game and a near perfect roguelike. Its gameplay is infinitely enjoyable. One run can feel wholly distinct from the next. Its rich narrative throughout allows players to engage with the cast of characters as they choose, perfectly reflecting the game's own open-ended and versatile gameplay experience. The peerless intertwining of narrative with player experience cements Hades as one of my best games of 2020 and possibly the best roguelike ever made.